How's it going, everybody, and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be working on one of the projects that are a part of the new responsive web design course on FreeCodeCamp. Today we're going to be working on the CSS Flexbox photo gallery project. So at the end we should have something that looks like this. Let's get started. Step 1. Begin with your standard HTML boilerplate. Add a doc type declaration, your HTML element, your head element, and your body element. Step 2, within your head element, add a meta tag with the name set to viewport and content set to width equals device with initial scale 1. Also add a meta tag with a char set of UTF-8. Step 3, within your head element, add a title element with the text set to photo gallery and a link element to add your style CSS file to the page. Step 4. Add a header element within the body element and assign a class of header to it. Inside the header, create a H1 with the CSS Flexbox photo gallery as the text. Below your header element, create a new div element and assign it a class of gallery. This div will act as a container for the gallery images. Inside that gallery element, create 9 image elements. Next, give each image a source attribute according to its order in the document. The first image should have a source of. The rest should be the same except for replace 1 with the number the image is in the document. So I'm just copying and pasting it and just changing the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way down to 9. And that's giving us a different photo each time. Normalize your box model by creating a selector, setting the box sizing property to border box is giving an all selector. Okay. Your images are too big. Create a class gallery image selector to target them all. Give them a width of 100% and a max width of 350 pixels so they shrink as needed but not get too big. Set the height property to 300 pixels and keep your images in uniform size. Remove the margin from your body element. Set the font family to sans serif and give it a background color. Okay. Margin of 0. Font family. And a background. Align your class header text in the center. Make the text uppercase using the text transform property with uppercase as a value. Give it a padding of 32 pixels on all sides. Set the background to this color and text to FFF as the color values, and add a border bottom of 4 pixels solid. Okay, so we've got a lot to do here. Oh, we need a text align. Flexbox is a one-dimensional CSS layout that can control the way items are spaced out and aligned within a container. To use it, give the element a display property of flex, and this will make the element a flex container. Any direction children of the flex container are called flex items. Create a class gallery selector and make it a flex container. Flexbox has a main and cross axis. The main axis is defined by flex direction, which has 4 possible properties: row, row reverse, column, column reverse. Note that the axis and directions will be different depending on the text direction. These values shown are for the left to right text direction. Try different values to see how they affect the layout. When you're done, set an explicit flex direction of row. Okay. The flex wrap property determines how your flex items behave when the flex container is too small. Setting it to wrap will allow the items to wrap to a next row or column. Now wrap, the default, will prevent your items from wrapping and shrink them if needed. Make it so that your flex items wrap to the next row when they run out of space. The justify content property determines how the items inside a flex container are positioned along the main axis, affecting their position and the space around them. Give your class gallery selector to justify content property with the center as a value. The align items property positions the flex content along the cross axis. In this case, with your flex direction set to row, your cross axis would be vertical. To vertically center your images, give your class gallery selector an align items property with the center as a value. Give your class gallery selector a padding property of 20 pixels, 10 pixels, okay. Then give it a max width of 1400 pixels and add a margin of 0 auto. Okay, so padding 20 pixels, 10 pixels, max width of 1400 pixels. Zero auto. Notice how some of your images have become distorted. This is because the images have different aspect ratios. Rather than setting each aspect ratio individually, you can use the object fit property to determine how images should behave. Give your gallery image selector an object fit property and set it to cover. This will tell the image to fill the image container while maintaining aspect ratio, resulting in cropping to fit. Your images need some spaces between them. The gap CSS shorthand property sets the gaps, also known as, I think this is supposed to be also known as gutters, between rows and columns. Your images need some space between them. The gap CSS shorthand property sets the gaps, also known as gutters, between rows and columns. The gap property and its row gap and column gap subproperties provide this functionality for flex, grid, and multi-column layout. You apply the property to the container element. Give your gallery flex container a gap property of 16 pixels as its value. Smooth out your images a bit by giving the gallery image selector a border radius property of 10 pixels as its value. The : after pseudo element creates an element that is a last child of the selected element. You can use it to add an empty element after the last image. If you give it the same width as the images, it will push the last image to the left when the gallery is in a 2-column layout. Right now it is in the center because you set a justify content center on the flex container. Create a new selector using the : after pseudo element. Okay, so we'll do that. And with a content set to and a width of 350 pixels. Let's see if that works. Oh. There we go. So like this, but we're doing gallery after. Okay. The alt image attribute should describe the image content. Screen readers announce an alternative text in place of images. If the image cannot be loaded, this text is presented in place of the image. To complete the project, add an alt attribute to all 9 of your cat images to describe them. Use a value of at least 5 characters long for each. So what I did for the first one is, let me just make this better so you guys can see. For the first one, I just created a alt image, an alt attribute of sleepy eyes for this cat. For the second one, I created a attribute of upside down. For the third one, I made one called green eyes. For the fourth one, I put undercovers. For the fifth one, I put white. For the sixth one, I put twins. For the seventh one, I put big eyes. For the eighth, I put orange. And for the ninth, I put black and white. And that's it, guys. Very simple, easy project. As you can see, everything lines up correctly. And that's all you need to do for this project. Hope you learned something. Thank you for watching the video. Give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to write them down below. Good luck on your next project. Take care.